Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Lazy Actor, the podcast that does all the work for you. Every week, we take a chapter from a famous acting book, we break it down, we tell you the key learnings, we try and translate everything into tactics so that you don't have to, because you are lazy, but you're not lazy. You're just tired from your restaurant job. Because what would happen to the restaurant industry if every actor got a job? Global chaos. It'd be the next coronavirus. Hi, everybody. So my name is Yvonne, and I am a struggling, poor working actor. And with me today is the fabulous Tabitha Tao.
Yay!
Who is even lower down than me. She quit her job where she made money, and now she's watching YouTube videos to become a self-independently wealthy, selling tokens from whatever. Anyway, how are you, Tabitha?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here.
I'm glad you came back because I thought the emotional trauma of the last time would have been enough, but some people just love abuse.
I do. I love it. It was hard, not going to lie, but I talked to my therapist and she gave me the okay.
So you love abuse.
I feel like I shouldn't say that. No comment.
Tabitha's married, by the way. What's his name? I'm just kidding. You don't have to tell me his name. Although he's got a famous... Doesn't your husband have a famous Instagram?
Yes, he does. If you're listening, you can follow insta.noodles.
That's right.
Noodles spelled Noodls.
No E.
No E.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's great. How does it feel to have a husband who's just for fun thing he does is more successful than all the things you do? Not even his job that makes him money, but just the shit he does for fun.
Keeps me humble.
That's right.
Keeps me grounded.
The goal of today will be to make Tabitha cry.
It's not very hard.
Actually, when we work together, because we know each other from the actorsplace.org, the meetup, the Actors Place, you're a great emotional actor without getting too big. You're really good at that.
Thank you.
So I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the fact that Timothy, our producer, is here from radio.com. There he is, ruining the shot with his face. He's mainly a voice actor too. That's right. So now that the abuse portion has been done, let's get into this chapter. This chapter is a little longer than last time, and I want to be conscious of not going super long like we did last time, but I just find you so fascinating, Tabitha.
Thank you. Was that a compliment? I'm not sure.
It's whatever you want it to be.
All right. Okay.
If you think that was a compliment,
all right,
just take it as that.
I will accept this compliment.
That's right. Because you need everything you can get right now because you're broke and you're watching YouTube videos while your husband supports you. Audition. I'm just kidding. I'm so mean to Tabitha and I don't know why.
I don't know
I think you're great and I live in constant fear that one day you're going to stop coming back to our meetup because it's always good having you there.
Oh, thank you.
You raised the bar. Today we are reviewing Guidepost number 8 from the book Audition by Michel Shurtleff. Did you ever read this book ever? Have you ever heard of this book?
Yes, I have read it.
Yeah? It was the first book I read when I started acting.
How long ago was that?
It was the summer. It was the summer of 2007. And I had just left my corporate job.
Oh, okay.
And I remember going to the library and renting the book and sitting outside of a coffee shop in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and reading it and feeling so excited about what was going to happen.
Wow.
That's just, I'm being dead serious.
That's deep.
Well, it was. And I remember this, it was almost like when you graduate high school and you see how much possibility is out there. And yeah. And this chapter, we got emotional beginning here.
Yeah, totally.
So this chapter, Guidepost number 8, is all about importance. And we've done a bunch of the chapters so far. And this chapter I really liked. This is because lately I was saying how I really started, when we read this book again for the second time, I loved the first few chapters. I'm like, that's right. I remember this being awesome, and it is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the guideposts get really fluffy. Sorry, I just had a hiccup there. They get really fluffy, and I got disenchanted. And in this chapter, I really liked it. So this is the thing about importance, because this is a very true thing. And tell me if you've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Plays are written about the most important moments in people's lives, not about their everyday humdrumness. If they featured humdrum, who would leave home to go see a play? And the reason this is so resonant with me is he has another line here. Actors are also unaccountably fond of reducing all dramatic possibilities to the most everyday realities. So the idea is this: in our attempt to be realistic, in our attempt to be believable, everything becomes mundane. Why? Oh, I don't know, because I think it'll be a good idea. Like we reduce all of our choices and our interactions into like just realism.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why so often, and if you've ever taken an acting class, all right, let me talk some shit. I'm going to talk a little trash talk. 9 out of 10 acting classes, no matter how useful you think you found them, were dead boring because they were 5 hours long. And you probably sat there for like 80% of it just watching other people or listening to the acting teacher just go on for like 25 minutes. I see you're giggling because it's so true. Anyone who's listening, if you've taken acting classes, that's what it is. Like that's fully what it is. And although you need it to create your foundation, I personally think most acting teachers are terrible teachers. They're just usually failed actors. And they're trying to make some other income. By the way, I run a meetup group called The Actor's Place, where you can come and learn your acting. Well, but it's so true, which is why I really, with our meetup, my big thing is always less time sitting, more time doing. Because most acting classes, you're just sitting there for fucking ever. And the reason I bring that up is because a lot of times in those acting classes, especially when you're first starting, they're just trying to make you be realistic.
Right.
And make you be believable. Right. Yeah. But then the trap is you start doing all these believable characters, but it's all the scenes are boring. There's no stakes, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree because, I'm so aware of like not overacting that sometimes I'm like, am I just underacting? Am I just being a very boring person?
Yeah. So there was this very famous casting director in Vancouver. And if you don't know the Vancouver, and actually all of the Canadian markets are like this, it's a little bit different than the LA market because in Vancouver, there's like 5 casting directors that handle everything. But out of those 5, there's like 2 or 3 that handle like 70 or 80% of all the work that happens in the city. So very maybe being seen by 2 or 3 casting directors is your entire career. Most of like 5 or 6 of maybe the first 5 or 6 parts were from all one casting director. And they just happened to do almost everything that happened in the city. But the most old school, most famous casting director, everyone was afraid of him because he was notoriously mean. He was like a very non-nurturing, very mean casting director. And there's a video of him talking to like, acting students, and he's just his typical "go fuck yourself" attitude. Like I still think about him with shivers. Like it was almost like he wanted you to fail. Like it's the feeling you'd get going into his room. But he has this whole little part, and I'm gonna embrace my inner person here. And he's talking to all these like young acting students who want to like find truth and cry on camera. And he just sits there leaning back, and he's like, "Okay, so you're good at acting. So what? I don't care about realistic anymore. So nowadays, every actor is realistic. You're fine, but that's not going to get you the part. What else are you doing? What's the strong choices you're making? What's the character? Good. You look really realistic when you're ordering a coffee. So what? So does everybody else." And he's got that kind of attitude. Yeah. And it's just great because you just see him slowly crushing the dreams of every person in the room. Just like, you'll never make it. I don't think you have what it takes. No one likes you. You have no... Like the opposite of the actor's studio, basically, where they're all about like finding truth and your students and embracing your dreams. He's all like, you have terrible breath, so get out. Like he was like, yeah.
Wow.
I'm not sure if he ever said that. That's like my impressions of him. But that brings us all back to the point. Actors are also unaccountably fond of reducing all dramatic possibilities to the most everyday, mundane. In other words, they are flat. The truth is not enough for a play. This is literally what Stuart says, but like 20 years earlier. Bleep that. Make a note. Make a note. I don't want to say his name. He's retired or whatever, but I said his name. So just cut that part. So yeah, another thing. Actors are also unaccountably fond of reducing all the dramatic possibilities to the most everyday realities. Flat, being flat. And that's what you were talking about. In our attempt to be realistic, we're just giving nothing. Right. In the previous chapter, when we talked about eye contact and how that can give you stuff and communication, that's one of the ways to avoid being flat. But in this one, we talk about the other ways. The truth is not enough for a play. The truth is not enough for a play unless it is invested with sufficient emotion to make it important. And the two examples, I love these two examples. And this is everyone in the world right now. You are all going to empathize with what he's talking about. And this was what I really liked about this chapter. He says, think about missing your train on the subway and how livid you get. Do you know when people talk about as actors, well, it's just a conversation. I don't see why I should be like so big or so like why I should get so emotional here. We're just talking about like rent. And then have you ever just missed a subway?
Oh, all the time.
Have you seen people that just miss a subway and lose their fucking shit? And how quickly it happens?
Yeah, instantaneous.
It can be instantaneous. And then it instantaneously goes away. Get your order wrong. Get your coffee order wrong. Order something, it shows up. It's not the mother, right? Those are the two examples he gives of like very mundane situations that can have tremendous emotion and how capable we are of tremendous emotion in the most mundane. It doesn't matter that 2 minutes later, the next subway is going to come and you'll be totally fine. You'll be embarrassed. You just can't help it. It's almost a reflex.
Yeah.
So how do you put that into a scene? 2 actors in the room with me and not a single idea between them. Not a single idea. This is why my IMDb is way longer than both of yours. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that size matters, but if we're honest, size matters. Tabitha, true or false? Tim, true or false?
I know nothing.
Come on. You've never had a little taste? Just a little? Little curiosity in university?
So you weren't finished with Tabitha yet.
All right.
Right.
And you see, this is how you elicit emotions from people, everyone. One of the things that Michel Shurtleff has is this. This is what an actor must look for in a play is something unusual, something important. So let's go back to the idea of like you were recently cut out of Shazam.
Right.
And what did you have to do in that?
Oh, so it was it's a monologue, like an interview. So it's actually like 2 pages of dialogue.
Can you give us any of it? Like just give me or a synopsis of what you're talking about.
I don't remember.
Dude,
but
you're on camera. You're miming. She's little. But just for anyone who doesn't know, this is also available. It's probably in the end credits, but this is also available as a video cast. And Tabitha was just making like, she was giving me the, I don't remember, stop talking about this. You know, the line across the neck. But okay, well, let's take a simple situation. Someone shows up 5 minutes late.
All right.
For an acting class. And you're doing a scene about showing up 5 minutes late for an acting class. What could we imbue in that to make it interesting, to make it important versus I'm really sorry. What could we do? Ideas. Go ahead. I'm putting you on the spot. But here's the thing. Strong choices, good acting. It's a muscle that you need to exercise because in the moment you need to have something. Because on set, people will be like, they'll ask you these questions. Well, how do you feel? Like some directors will be like, what do you want to do with it? And if you're blank, they'll be like, it'll be a struggle. So let's put you on the spot, Tabitha. I've given up on Tim.
Okay. So someone shows up late.
For 5 minutes late for an acting class. How can we imbue that with importance? What an actor must look for in a play is something unusual, something important.
It could be, let's say there's a casting director in that class.
Yeah.
And they're late.
Yeah. And so, but if we don't know that in the scene, how does that translate to you walking in?
Sorry, what do you mean?
So
Like,
suppose that's a scene. That's why it's important.
Right.
You put that scene into important. How do you as an actor translate that to the camera or to the audience, even though we don't know yet that the casting director is in the room?
I mean, like,
what choices could you make as an actor?
Be fearful, I guess, or like.
Okay, let's follow that trend. Imagine you walk into the room and the line is, "I'm so sorry I'm late. I promise it'll never happen again."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is, and imagine if you did that with like unbelievable fear.
Mm-hmm.
The audience would be like, "Okay, what's going on right now?"
Right, yeah.
What if you did that on the verge of tears?
Mm-hmm.
What if you decided, and then we're like, "Why is this girl crying?" We're thinking something that happened before, but maybe it's something that you're worried you're going to miss.
Right.
That could be some interesting choices we could make by imbuing something with importance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is the teacher of that class saying, if you're late again, you're not going to be able to come in.
Yeah. Kicked out.
And this is the one day, only that a casting director is there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that could be in a TV show versus you just being late for an acting class. That happens all the time with people. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's imbuing importance. Another factor that contributes to the flattening of processes is that actors, while well trained to search for the truth in their acting, make the mistake of equating it with what they see around them every day. You know what the king of this is? I think is Nicolas Cage as he's gotten older, but he's always done like these, he makes these crazy weird choices. Like when he budges in line, there's this one movie and it's like, he's really frustrated. There's all this stuff going on and he budges in line at the pharmacy and the guy goes, "Hey, have you ever heard of a line?" Yeah. And Nicolas Cage he's like, "Hey, have you ever heard of being dragged out into the street and being beaten to death until you're bloody full?" And he does it like that, like that, with that voice and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Because getting this thing was so important.
Mm-hmm.
When he talks about freaking out because you've missed the subway thing, right? Or whatever your trigger is, because we all have triggers. This is how I think we can think about it. Mm-hmm. Imagine that whatever is happening in the scene is your trigger.
Oh, yeah.
Like when someone, like for example, humming is a trigger for me. This is a real thing. When people hum, my mother used to hum all the time, and my mother and I do not have a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. And so humming, like it just gets my back up. Instantly, I want to tell the person, "Go fuck, shut the fuck, stop that." Like it just like it's amazing. It happened like 2 days ago, and I sat there and it was like I was literally. And I was instantly angry. I was just fucking livid. And it was like the most annoying thing in the world for me. And I had to fight and I've been doing this my whole life, fighting the urge to like basically start shit.
Right. Yeah.
Be like, "Could you just shut the fuck up?"
Yeah.
Because that's such a big trigger. Mm-hmm. And a line he says, when you think about those things, like maybe missing the subway is your trigger, would you do any less for your play?
That's a good point.
Now, here's another thing. Important does not necessarily mean significant. So the humming is not that significant.
Right. But it's very important.
But it's very important. That's right. That's right. What is important in your life, Tabitha?
Not missing the subway. This literally happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I got the door like shut in my face because the person in front of me was walking too slow. Oh. I'm triggered right now. I'm pretty mad. They were walking so slow. Now,
for your next audition, just for funsies, try this. The next time you're prepping an audition, imagine that was the moment before.
Oh, yeah. I should do that.
You should. Why not?
It's very important. Yeah.
Why not? I mean, just to see if it does something for you. Okay. Michel Shurtleff in his book, and I love these things. They're obviously made up though. So one of the things that happens in this book, but it's useful. Like it's a teaching tool. I think it's great. He does these scenes where it's him talking to an actor and teaching the actor. And they're pages long.
Yes, I remember that.
Remember that? They're pages long. And they're obviously not true because there's no way he remembered this word for word. He doesn't have a release, so you know it's not recorded. This is real audio. I think he's just taking the gist but making it specific to prove his point. It still proves a point though. And there's a few things I want to highlight here about importance. Okay? So he's doing the scene and he's using the example of an off-Broadway show called Bird Bath. Have you ever seen it? Bird Bath? I've seen it. It was good. One of the things he says is, in the scene, it's basically this really good-looking guy picks up this not so good-looking kind of heavy-set girl and takes her home. And he's saying, well, why did you take the girl home? I'm just trying to be nice to her. I feel sorry for her. And that's the surface. That's us going, that's flat. And the whole conversation is, if that's all there is, then it's a boring scene. So one of the things he says is, oh, so you're Florence Nightingale. Always beware of choices that make you into an angelic, helpful nurse. Of course, we do things to help other people, but there's got to be something in it for us too. Remember last episode, we talked about selfishness? Yes. So in this scene where this really attractive guy is basically asking this girl, we'll do this as a thought experiment, is asking this girl, think about this character. She's very socially uncomfortable. She's never been with a man. She is not attractive. She works in this shitty dead end job. She's shy, charismatic. It's like you. That'll be you. Okay. Because you're letting yourself go and it's obvious and everyone can see it. And that's how you should not be respectful to actors. I apologize, Tabitha. I think you're a fabulous person and everyone loves you. Okay?
It's an emotional roller coaster.
That's right.
I try.
See, that's right. It's my method. First I get you uncomfortable, right? So you're embrace this kind of character. And I will embrace the character of the charming, charismatic, good-looking man.
All right.
But in the course of this scene, before this, he takes her home and everything like that, you realize that he's a writer, a failed writer. He doesn't know what to write about. He's been trying for years. This hits close to home because I'm like a quasi-failed actor in that, yeah, I book parts, right? But it's not like I'm breaking out. It's not like my parts are growing. I'm falling into this trap of being like, every part I get is a guest star or a couple of scenes or a couple of lines and that's it. And you come to that harsh realization that maybe like your dreams aren't going to come true. So I take you home. And why? This person says, because I feel bad for her. She just happens to be there. So I'm like, okay, I'll take this girl home. That's another big trap. They happen to be there. Oh, it's just because they're there. That's why I'm picking on them. Really? How strong of a choice is that, right?
Yeah, that's not.
So what else could we think about? Why else would a character like mine want to pick up and take home this woman?
Writing material. Maybe the woman knows somebody who's famous.
Okay. What else? Let's stick strictly to the information I've given you.
Right. Okay.
But that's not bad. That's you trying to put importance into this person. And they're wondering like, why is he putting so much attention on this woman? What else? Any ideas?
I mean, he could just be feeling bad about himself and he just wanted company. He needed somebody. So
if he's feeling bad about himself, why is he feeling so bad?
I guess you were saying that he's like a failed writer.
Yeah.
Maybe he's about to lose his apartment. He can't pay rent.
Well, let's stick with failed writer because that's the information we know, right? But I love that you're trying to make choices. But let's take that. So if you're a failed writer and you're feeling like, how would you be feeling?
Horrible about yourself, I guess. Yeah.
And so you meet this woman who is, like you're so out of her league. Why would you want to attract her to you? Why would you want to take her home?
I guess it's like to feel better about yourself because there's somebody who's, I guess, even less successful than you are or not as good looking or whatever.
And that's a selfishness, right?
Yeah.
And then why is having someone like that, how will that help me?
To remind you that you are better than most people still.
And
or
imagine,
something.
Yeah. But and that's the layers we're getting to versus like, I just felt bad or I just wanted to have sex. So she was just there. So imagine you do the scene with all that. And that's exactly where they went with it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the whole idea of like, maybe this person, they'll give you more of themselves without you having to try so hard because they just can't believe that someone would give them affection.
And you can't fail because,
it'll always make you feel better because you're standing next to them. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of the things he talks about when he talks about importance. So then he goes to the person who's playing the female character. And she goes home with him. And he says, so why are you being so resistant to him? He's like, because I'm not interested. All the lines say, leave me alone. Don't touch me like that. Please stop touching me.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So she says, I don't think I like him very much. So she plays the scene like, I don't like him very much, because everything she's saying, you're like, you're not my type. I don't feel comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
But she doesn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, she wants to be there, I think.
Why?
I think she does like him. Maybe she does like him. She's just scared to be hurt because he's so much more attractive than she is.
And why is this? And let's suppose that I'm not very nice to her. Why would someone want to be liked by someone who's not nice to them?
I guess like it could be like a social status thing. I mean, in her mind, he probably has like a higher status than her.
Yeah.
And just being with somebody like that makes her feel better.
Yeah.
Because maybe other people finally notice her. Maybe.
Yeah. So one of the things he talks about in the book is he's saying, if you just play it, that's exactly right. But if you just play it like, I don't like him very much, I don't think he's a very nice person. He says, so why do you want me to watch this scene? When you're not interested in your partner, you're not very interesting to watch. If you're dull and uninteresting, why should I hire you? And that's from a casting director's point of view. And then she says, you mean I've got to pretend I'm interested in him when the script says I'm not? And then he says, the script doesn't say you're not. You decided that.
Right. Yeah.
And that goes back into putting something really important. So what would happen all of a sudden, Tabitha? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go back from last week. We're going to go back to our scene.
Okay.
We got our generic scene here. Just by coincidence, the exact same piece of paper happens to be sitting on that table. What would happen if, let's go even further with that. There's an expression I have. The fear of the unknown is greater than the fear of being unhappy. So most people will settle for unhappy. What if you are afraid that you'll never meet anyone? And this person, for all their imperfections, has been the one person that's shown you interest. Even though you know they're not right for you, even though you know he probably just wants to have sex, they're still giving you attention.
Yeah.
And what if I need you because I am playing like I'm great and everything's going awesome, but I'm so afraid that basically my dream is dead. And you're a Band-Aid. And I realize that, but then I'm also like, well, maybe this is a person who can make me feel better because I'm being selfish. And maybe if I can make her feel better, then it'll help me to have some confidence. And she probably will adore me. And I need some adoration right now in my life. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And so on the spot, we're going to do the lines.
Okay. So. It's you.
It's me.
You're back.
I'm back.
How long?
Not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. And I don't leave.
And you don't leave. You sit here because there's a microphone. Well, that was interesting. Tim, how did you feel?
Good. You were a little bit aloof and you were, again, very keyed in on what you were taking away from him.
Because I was thinking that, like, and this is a very honest thing, when I'm like, I don't really want her, but like, what if I can't find anyone better? That's why it's so funny you picked it up, because that was what I was going for. I was going for like, right? And if we go back, that's one of the things that Michel Shurtleff talks about when he talks about contrast. Imagine if this was 5 pages of that and 1 page, and this is how I would prepare for my audition. I would be like, you know what? These first 10 lines, I'm going to say not interested. Then these next 10 lines, interested, then not interested, then interested. Not to say that that's right or wrong, but just to build a muscle.
Yeah.
And then I find the right lines that fit with interested and the right lines that fit without interested. And I have that pull and pull internally. And then I communicate it by maybe my eye contact. We go back again to the previous ideas and that idea of relationship, right? And what would happen if, like, before you say for how long am I back, I kind of like give you a 1-2 and not very impressed and say I'm not sure.
Ooh.
I look right in your eyes and I'm saying, well, it depends how long you want me. And I say, I'm not sure. You see, then we're combining tactics. Yeah. And the idea is this, there's no one right way to find the character. What too many people do is they sit around by themselves and just think about all the different rules and all the different emotions, but they never execute. They never practice it.
Yeah.
Right. This is a way, without you trying to find the right answer, to find many answers. So you have diversity in a character.
Yeah. And that's like, I think is so important as an actor to stop trying to find the right answer.
Oh, yes. Every single time I've done a show, I've come in prepared with my own version and it's always different than what they want. It's never the same. And yours, like, for example, I was in this show like maybe a year ago where I had to walk down some stairs, right? And I get seen and then I turn around and run and they chase me.
Okay.
And I can't remember what it was, but I thought I'd put like my own significance to it, right? And that came out in like a way I reacted to them going, hey there. And I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. It was perfect. And the director was like, cut. I'm not sure what you were doing there, but that's not what we want. Instead, can you just look down? Like literally and I was like, okay. And I had to let it go. And I was like, I worked so hard on that. But that's why I never work on one way. You work on many ways. So then you can also not take it so personally and you let yourself go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do actors so love to make negative choices is the other thing he talks about importance. So we define our characters by what, well, I'm not interested. No, it's not that important. I'm just saying that. I'm just doing this. Look how you fought like a tigress to hang out in your negative choices. A negative choice didn't do you any good. They drown you, obliterate you. They keep any auditor from knowing who you are. That's what he calls himself as a casting director. They're only one side of you, and they're not the side that motivates your life. You are motivated by dreams, not negative realities. Reality creates the problems. Dreams are how we deal with them. I thought that was a good line.
I like that.
Let me say that one more time. Reality creates the problems. Dreams are how we deal with them. Dreams are why we stay alive. If you leave out your dreams, you leave out the very best part of you as a human being. And it sounds so great, right? But what the fuck does that have to do with acting? And I get it. It does have things to do. But how do you translate that? Because there's so many fucking things in acting books that talk about like all this shit. And you're like, yeah. And so many people, if you do like the famous acting coaches or all acting teachers, they say shit like this. And then you're like, yeah, but how do I translate that into my hair commercial?
Yeah. How can I use that?
How do you use that?
Yeah.
Let's figure it out right now, Tabitha. What are some ways that we can, reality creates the problems and dreams are how we deal with them?
I mean, like if you think of your like everyday life, things come up and you had to figure out how to deal with it and move on. I guess if you apply that to a scene or acting, that's how we get on with life.
So I have a new client. I'm going to an audition. Let me take that idea and go more specific. I'm going to an audition. Okay. But my job is a half an hour after the audition. But auditions always take a lot of time. So I call my agent to say, can I please go first? And they don't get back to me. And I'm on the subway, not knowing if I should get there for 2:00 when the big auditions start or 2:30 when my call time is, because I got to be at work at 3. That is the situation.
Right.
Can you see how that would work?
Yes. Yeah.
That the dream is to get in there and get the part. Like, you know, this is what you want to do. You want to be an actor and you're sitting there going, but all you can think about is your job.
Yes. Yeah. And being there on time, you know, not missing the train.
Yeah. All these things. Yeah. And that could be one way, like, so whatever the scene is, even if the scene is, I'm going to go into your IMDb here.
Oh gosh.
So Tabitha, you may know her from things such as Bloodchild, where she played Dr. Tan, or Frankie Drake Mysteries, where she played, of course, Ling. Or how about Cheat Meal, where you play Claire? Or Working Moms, Quiet Polish Rep. What did you have to do in Quiet Polish Rep?
Actually, that's one of like the first things I booked. I didn't have to say any lines, just react. Very fun.
So you're a background actor. I'm just kidding. There's nothing. I did background for years. But it's a scene where what happened in it? You just reacted to what?
Reacting to the leads, basically. Like giving her like a...
Doing what?
So
what did the leads do?
So we're sitting around this like conference table.
Yeah.
And the lead come in and then she has all these great ideas and some of them sound kind of crazy. So I'm just like giving her like looks like that you're crazy. Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, you're crazy. Like
so then we embodied that. Like so then just for fun to try and apply this concept, maybe you're struggling between should I jump on this bandwagon because then maybe I can get to that next level in my career. That's the dream, to be like where she is right now. So should I be nice to her or should I tear her down in front of the boss? And then you embode that into your reactions. And that can be one way that you find a character.
Yeah.
And that's also another way you can find importance.
Yes.
And now we know what that guidepost is for all you lazy actors. Make sure you iron your white shirts for your waitering job. You lazy bastards. Oh, don't. I have the standing joke where whenever I mean someone, they say that they're an actor. I'm like, oh, really? What restaurant do you work at? And I think it is hilarious. And the amount of times that actors don't find that funny, because that's just a sign that they're like already losing hope. But it's true. I mean, what restaurant are you applying for, Tabitha? Are you going to be applying for restaurants?
No.
Starting a new drop shipping business?
I'm too clumsy. Drop shipping, though, that's something I'm looking into right now.
Got to find that side hustle, baby. It's all about that side hustle. So that is it for this episode. A little bit shorter than the previous episode. Tim, how long are we going?
You went about 35 minutes.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, wow. We're still on time.
We're doing great. So the book is called Audition by Michel Shurtleff. Next week, we are going to be going into finding this one? Yeah, finding events. Find the events. I call what happens in the play the events. One of the actor's chief tasks is to create the events of the play. I have no idea what that means. I think it might just be like the events being like the actual physical reality. But we will find out next time on The Lazy Actor. Probably not with Tabitha. But Tabitha, thank you so much for joining us. You were here for 2 episodes, which was really great. Do you want to plug anything before we go?
I'm good.
So if you are looking... one of the things I always see you saying that is, Tabitha, you do such a great job of emoting without having to fall into crying or any of that kind of stuff. You're just very like emotional in the moment with just your eyes. So you can look up Tabitha Tao on IMDb. Tabitha. Tabitha.
Oh, Tabitha. Pronounced Tabitha.
Tao. Tao. Tao.
Yes.
She was the first thing you'll notice is that she was in Shazam. That's right. Claim to fame, Shazam. But you'll never see her unless you watch the director's cut.
Didn't make the cut. It was a great write, though.
Well, I was telling you, you think it's being bad being cut out of a scene? Try being a whole character arc being cut out. I was once cut out of 3 episodes.
Like, we just did not need that character at all.
or as an actor, this is the toughness. We're just about to end, but I want to throw this out. Being like, well, was I that bad?
Yes.
That was like my 2nd or 3rd gig too.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I had like all of my friends come watch the movie with me, and then they were like,
oh.
Did you not know you were cut out?
I didn't know I was cut out. I did not know.
No!
So I'm never doing that again.
But hey, that's how you know you're meant, you have the chops, quote unquote, or the emotional fortitude to be an actor, because you can laugh that kind of stuff off. You can also maybe see things you auditioned for and see the people who booked it and not just be like, just being like, okay, don't agree with their choice, but that's fine. Moving on.
Moving on. That's what you got to tell yourself. Just move on.
All right. So moving on. Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you, radioradio.com, for this amazing studio location and space, the videograph, all the amazing audio, all the equipment. If you need any kind of podcasting or audio kind of work of any kind, check out radioradio.com. Produced in association with theactorsplace.org. The Actors Place is a meetup and acting gym for actors where we focus on doing It's different than a class because instead of sitting down for 3 hours, you're working for 3 hours. Check us out, theactorsplace.org. Oh, I was going to say, for people in the video cast, you might have noticed in the back all these little posters of scenes. One of the things I've done as part of the website is there's a link called scripts. And what we have is a cajillion scripts from film and television, from modern film and television, for people to work on. So if you ever want some scenes to work on, check out theactorsplace.org/scripts. That's it. Enjoy serving Cokes and beers to ungrateful patrons, you lazy actor with restaurant jobs. I worked in a restaurant, it's fine. I'm Yvonne, Tabitha, Tim. We'll see you next time.